Hey guys, what is up? Lord Nick here, bringing you another One Piece related video. This video, guys, is our weekly Rebecca update. Now, I'm making this Sunday night. It's going up kind of late. I'm going to try to make it a little bit sooner, probably, or maybe not. We're going to probably aim for it to be on after our streams every week. So let's, for those that don't know, here's, I guess, an announcement of it. You can find out on the Discord, which is being showcased right now, just coincidentally. But I will be trying to stream every Sunday night, if possible, for the foreseeable future. We're going to be doing ranked gameplay through it, so it'll be a live stream, and there will be a VOD afterwards. So if you want to see this last week, go ahead and check it out now. It's all up on the YouTube. But for next week, look around 7 p.m. CST is probably about the time I'll be looking to start. I might start a little sooner than that, but that is the start. That will be the time that I will start by if I will stream. If I'm not up by 7 p.m., I'll generally make an announcement saying I'm not going to be streaming that day. But let's jump into the rest of the video. This is our weekly update on Rebecca stuff and how I'm doing, along with how my list is looking. So, to start off, we did have just 3 big, massive events that happened this weekend. I don't have any updates as to if there was Rebecca's in those yet. Those would be San Diego, Wisconsin, and an online regional. There could be Rebecca's somewhere in there, and I just haven't seen a list pop up yet. But to my knowledge, nobody did really that well with it yet. But there were quite a few interesting Dofi techs that were there. But nothing in particular to Rebecca itself. But congrats to all those that did well at those events. And anybody who was in those events, feel free to leave a comment down below to let me know how you guys did. So let's go into reveals. So these are actually reveals that happened last week. They could have been in last week's video, but I didn't think about it until after I had already made the video. So let's go over some of the new cards that will be coming out in 10 and kind of discussing some of the awesome implications that these have. So the first one that everybody went super nuts about was Uzi. So Uzi is a 2K counter, 2-drop 2K character. Not that big a deal. On play, you may arrest one of your leaders or stages. Up to one of your Monkey D. Luffy characters gain banished. This is super nuts, guys, because of the fact that 7-drop Luffy now basically just reads, with Kong Gun, take out 4 of your opponent's life. They don't get it. Really, really strong. Obviously, Luffy builds are going to be up there. People are arguing that it's going to be Goofy builds, you know, with Gecko Luffy. I don't think the Gecko is going to be as much of a necessity for it. And a big part of that is just due to the fact that I think there's so many other cool cards that are probably better for the Dressrosa archetype that fit the slot of getting Uzi back for us. So Uzi will probably be a 2 of tech. But because of Uzi, there's another card that we also probably should discuss outside of the... I think we go to Zoro first here, but let's take a look. Yep, there's Dofi. So here's Zoro. So Zoro, guys, is a 4-drop 6K character, no counter. Pretty good. He is a Dressrosa character, Straw Hat, and Supernova. But also, he is on play. You may rest one of your Dressrosa type leaders or stages. So he is Dressrosa locked. Nobody but Dressrosa character leaders can use him, which is pretty dope. KO up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or lower characters, then place the top 2 of your deck into the trash. This card is bonkers for us. One, it just getting rid of a 4 is super useful for us. We've needed a better 4-drop curve as well. Having a 4-drop 6K is what we've kind of wanted and needed for, you know, that's vanilla stats, but he has no counter on him, of course. But his effect is so strong, and the fact that it is either leader or stage is super impactful because that means we could run stuff like Hajruden again in a higher number and be super useful. Depending on how the meta kind of pans out, will be kind of deterministic of whether or not it will be Hajruden or Olympus. But this card also just makes Suleiman really good because of the fact of -2 means that you're getting rid of 6 drops. There's argument for him to be coming back. There's argument for Scarlet to be more included. This card is just super strong. Of the cards that we've seen, this is the one I'm the most excited about. Despite the fact that Uzi is really good, this is probably the most excited I am about of card, just because this just helps the archetype so much. Yes, we don't get any bottom decking so far, but this alone just really fixes a lot of the problems we've had. And the last card that we need to talk about is 6-drop Secret Luffy. So one of the secrets of the set is for Dressrosa, which is awesome. Once per turn, this character cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects. So if your opponent is trying to KO it using black cards or any type of green just KO cards, can't do it. You have to use 2 of them to kill him. That's annoying. He's also a 7K body. That's annoying. But a 6-drop 7k body doesn't seem all that amazing, even with just no KO. What's his other ability? You may place 3 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Then if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, they trash a card from their hand. That is a super massive ability, and the biggest reason for this is if we play him out on curve, we can swing into one of their carriers and get a card out of their hand. They draw back up, they have to replay. If they're still at 5 cards in hand, right, which is kind of pretty easy for them to be because Rebecca doesn't have a whole lot of ways of getting cards out of their hand, the very next turn, you play Uzi, target him. You can Kong gun him if you have it, and if you have trash for it, probably won't, but if you whatever, you can go for it. Otherwise, you just give him some Dawn on him, swing 10 at life. On swing, activate ability, and put 3 cards back, discard a card from your hand. Hey, you go down to 4 cards in hand. Now, do you want to lose the card in your life, or do you want to lose 2 cards out of your hand? Because at 8k, it costs 2 cards. At 9k, it would cost them 3. So they just have to take it and lose a card, which is huge. It means we can put pressure on them now. We have options to do so without having to have a 7k Luffy. This card alone, I think, is way undervalued by a lot of the Rebecca players out here, just due to the fact that one of the biggest things we've needed is hand disruption. We've needed in archetype hand disruption. Yes, pudding has been an option for a while. Yes, you could run Perona technically. Yes, you could try for an Isho in there. The problem with all 3 of these cards is they're not an archetype, and Rebecca is a very archetypal deck. So because of us now getting an archetype card that helps us, like before we've seen Chopper, right? But like now we actually have a body that does it on swing, which is really relevant because it's basically on play for us as well because of Coliseum. And he's a hard to remove body, both by swinging into him and by KOing him with effect. Card is just really, really good. It's also really great because the answer to him usually is Jack, but Jack doesn't answer him because if you try to play it on curve after this, like, yeah, you could reduce it down to KO him, but now you can't because we just ignore it. So, like, very, very good card. Very sticky card. Very good anti-black tool. Honestly, I think this is one of my happiest. Like, this and Zoro are the 2 cards I'm happiest about. Uzi's really cool, but this card is really, really awesome to me. Anyhow, now that we've talked about kind of what's come out, let's talk about what happened to me this week. So if we're just talking about local stats, my first local, I went 2-1. My second one, I went 1-2. Not so ideal. And my last one, I also went 2-1. So most of those losses, by the way, out of 4 losses, all 4 of them this week, or no, one of which was to Uta, 2 were to Pluffy, and then another one was Pluffy. So we lost to 3 Pluffys. We beat 1 Pluffy, and we beat 2 Pluffys. So we lost to 2, 1 against 2, lost to an Uta, 1 against an Uta. So we're 50-50 with Utas this week, 50-50 with Pluffys this week. And honestly, after playing the Uta matchup a couple times, outside of just those 2 at locals, I think that she's actually in a spot where she could be entering into this meta because it is a go wide meta, and she can go wide really well. And her characters are pretty good. And actually, the stuff that she got from this set from the starter decks was just pretty strong for her. And I think people are kind of undervaluing actually how good she got comparatively. There is an argument to be made that she could be there. Yes, Bonnie is the better control leader. Yes, Bonnie has a lot of value in the fact that she can just target anything and then make that Shanks become valuable. But she is also like a control-oriented deck, whereas Uta is more of a tempo deck. So if you're wanting to go tempo and go even with Dofi and be able to deal with Dofi from a standpoint of trying to outrace him, I think Uta is the better option. Now, let's talk about my deck list. So, as I alluded to, guys, we were testing throughout today. We spent 4 hours on stream today, going on Sim and playing out different deck lists and stuff like that. Across that, there was at least 3 different deck lists that popped up, all 3 of which I beat Dofi with. So, just to let you know, in general, I think that matchup's really good for us. Now, teching for the other ones is what we have to do without sacking our Lucci matchup, or our Dofi matchup. So one of the things I've done is I've taken out the Sakazukis. I took out one of our stages because we're not really focusing on stage as heavily. And we have a lot of searches still available. And what I've done is tech in 3 Luccis. Rob Lucci has been super, super useful for dealing with the early boards, which is kind of the biggest thing that we've needed to do, is have an early board card that disrupts the early state. Now, Sokka was helping us with the Lucci matchup, but it doesn't really... right now, I don't think we need more help with the Lucci matchup. I think the Lucci matchup is just struggle for us no matter what. There's an argument to be made. We could drop all our Gravity Blades, put in 2 Red Rocks, keep the Luccis, and that should be enough for board clearing along the way. I think G-Blades help us in other matchups, though. They specifically help us in the Black-Yellow Luffy matchup. It makes them considerably easier. It makes Bonnie matchup considerably easier. And it even helps in the Enel matchup. Once we have a Kuzan on board, anything they play, just boop, Gravity Bladed away. If they have multiple characters, Gravity Bladed them away. You know, those type of options. So... we're kind of in a state right now where it's, okay, we need to decide then what are the matchups we need to tool towards. And I think tooling a card that is particularly good into the Dofi matchup, which is Lucci, along with our Patchworks, which helps us with that. And then on top of that, Suleiman is there to help us with that, which people were kind of iffy on during the stream, but I ended up selling most of them on it. The other card that ended up selling some people on was the fact that Hajrunen helped us in very specific matchups. So I think the route that I have gone now is that we are going to be running a 2-2-2 split of our cost reducers, and the biggest reason is we can find them relatively easily. If any of them go to trash, we can get them back with Rebecca. Now, because we are kind of split on the Hajrudens and the Orlumbuses, what that has led us to having happen is if we don't see Rebecca's, then there's a chance that we don't mill as much, which can be a little bit problematic. But as long as we don't completely brick, we're perfectly okay. And a lot of our bricks are also actually lower cost cards now. We do have a decent number of them that are 7 or higher, though, so that's kind of where I'm a little iffy on it right now. Gravity Blades could change, but if they do change, they probably move into, like, 3,000 worlds so that they're less, like, stuck in hand, but it does defeat kind of the purpose of ability going wide. And helping us out with those matchups that I specifically said that these help us with. 3,000 Worlds would be more of an answer to Magellans. If Magellans show up in Pluffy, which it did happen on stream today, but probably won't happen all the time. It's not common that they're there. So it is up to you. If you see a lot of Pluffys in your meta and they're all running Magellans, 3,000 Worlds might be the tech. But if you're running into Pluffys, they don't really have it. This actually helps with Pluffy more, I think, just because it gives us the ability with, if we have a Suleiman, reduce a 7-cost Luffy, and then this gets rid of both the cards that they just played. Yeah, they can still swing at life, but they have to rebuild board if they want to. And I think that that's valuable enough in and of itself for us. So that's about it, guys. I mean, it's not a heavy video, right? This is kind of our update video at the beginning of each week. So yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember to join the Discord. Bye, guys.